So once upon a time in South Louisiana, I was driving down the road, minding my own business. I was singing some Bonsoir Catin on the radio, all to myself, enjoying the beautiful scenery. At the time, I was trying to figure out how I could bring all the colors in South Louisiana into the Cheeky Quilters branding. I'm looking around, I'm enjoying it all, I'm soaking up the beautiful scenery, and out of nowhere, an alligator comes sashaying across the road right in front of me. I had to slam my brakes and I giggled to myself. I said, how Louisiana is that? But I thought, why they don't have a sign to say, caution, gator could be crossing the street? So I went home, I asked the Google machine, I said, hey, they got alligator signs? And they do. They got alligator signs, they got cow signs, they got all kind of signs. So I'm gonna show y'all how I came up with the Alligator Crossing sign. All jokes and cheeky Cajun accents aside, my name is Amber and I am so glad you joined me for this workshop. I am with the Cheeky Quilters and Mom and I are based in South Louisiana, and I do look around for inspiration in things around us. I will show you some other projects that I've worked on. This whole thing started years ago, probably over 20 years ago, when I saw a manhole cover etched into art and framed and put above someone's couch, and I thought I need to do that with quilts. So I have done all sorts of applique and rubbing and different things to make fiber art to bring the beautiful landscaping and things that we see every day that aren't really art, but I want to make them art. And so come along and join me in this process and I'll show you how I do it. So I did go home that day and Google alligator signs. Now I have seen them, I know they exist, just a little cheeky in the video there, but I also want to make a cow, a falling cow, which we do not have in Louisiana. They may fall out of a truck and that's about it. But I want to show you the process of how I turned that idea, that inspiration, the alligator running across the road in front of me, how do I turn that into a piece of art? So I did go to the Google machine. I found some pieces that I liked, but I actually used Shutterstock and purchased a trio of 3 different signs. 2 of them are ones that I'm going to be using, the falling cow sign and the Alligator Crossing. So from there, I took the sign, I brought it into Adobe Illustrator, and you can see that I am adjusting it, I'm moving things around, I'm getting some colors that I like, and tweaking the sign a little bit, and then from there I will make the quilt. So this is the quilt that we're going to be working on today. Now, Mom, also known as Jennifer, is doing a great job at showing it to you on the road there. No traffic coming. She was safe. What I do is I put it into Adobe Illustrator. Now I removed the alligator and the lines that were there before. I didn't really like them. I like this alligator. It's one that I created and I just think it's so cute. And so I'm just moving it around here trying to figure out where I think it looks best. I did have the mouth open over the sign, which is a little bit more cartoony, and it's just kind of what I liked in the moment. If I had to do it again, I might do it smaller and make it fit inside the sign. I don't know, it all depends. It just kind of depends how I'm feeling in the moment. So I have it like I like it. I'm rearranging the words. Everything's looking pretty good. Once I've got the gator the size I like, I'll create some artboards and I will put the gator in the artboards so that I can create a PDF pattern of just the gator and just the road sign. So kind of separating them out to use as a pattern. When I am looking at the blue and I want to figure out the size of the blue triangles, I'm just measuring them out to see what size I need to make them. And so I'm separating it, dividing it, moving it around. That's just me playing around in Adobe Illustrator. Once I have that figured out, I have my pattern. I've printed the PDF of the alligator and I'm copying it onto the sticky side of Pellon SF101. Now this will allow me to put fabric on the top, and the sticky part of the Pellon is on the top. So I will take this green fabric. In this alligator, I am using all of the same green fabric, and I'm going to put that fabric down. I'm going to iron it on so that it's stuck to the top of the Pellon SF101. And I'm just going to get the alligator completely covered in green. I'm going to make sure that I get the little feet and everything done. Get that all done. Once it's done, I'm going to cut the shape of the alligator out. Once the alligator is all stuck, the next section I'm going to work on is the road sign, the orange that is appearing behind the alligator. And so in this project, I used a bunch of different orange fabrics and I pieced them together to the size that I needed to make the road sign. And then I also pieced the blue to make the corners so that I ended up with a square. So it's kind of like a square and a square, and it just made that rectangle. I pieced all the orange and got them to the size I needed in a square. Sewed them all together. Now, if I had to do it over again, I might take those dark squares out. I'm not too crazy about those, but once I saw them, it was too late. It was in. I think the quilt ended up being just fine, but just some little hindsight insights there. So I'm cutting the sign to the size that I need it. Just kind of measuring it out, making sure it's the right size. Putting the gator on. Putting the blue square in a square, making sure that fits. What I didn't like about the alligator was that it didn't stand out enough. That green wasn't bright enough. It wasn't dark enough maybe to stand out on the orange. So I put it on a darker green background and I cut it out. Basically, I outlined the alligator. So it's the gator and then it has a darker outline around it. So that's all I'm doing right here. So now that the gator is cut out and I can put it on the top of the sign, I am taking some steam seam and putting it on the back of the fabric I'm going to use for the lettering. So I iron it on, back it off. Now I'm cutting, I think, 1/4 inch strips that I'm going to be using for the lettering on the sign. So just cutting a bunch of them. Now you remember when I did the pattern, I know about how big to cut the letters. So you can see right here that I am measuring, I think it's 3 inches tall each letter is. So I'm cutting strips that are about 3 inches and I'm going to very loosely, randomly, playfully place the wording, the letters, how I want them on the sign. Now I wanted this sign to be very playful. It's not exact. It's kind of off a little bit. The letters are a little askew. That is intentional. That was the look I was going for. If I wanted to be more exact, I could use a machine, a Silhouette or a Cricut to cut the letters, or I could use some other way to cut them so that they were very precise. That is not the look I'm going for. I like this playful, askew kind of look for the letters. So you can see I've got that down. I ironed them down because they do have that misty fuse on the back. Okay, funny story. I forgot to record myself quilting the quilt, but nothing fancy happened. I just put it, I have a long arm, put it on the long arm, quilted it, and took it off. I did only use 1 layer of batting. A lot of times when I make wall hanging quilts, I will use 2 layers of batting. In this one, I only used 1, no particular reason. What I did was I quilted the top using an edge-to-edge swirly kind of cloud-like design in the blue area, and that was meant to make it look like clouds. And then in the orange part of the road sign, I just did random X's throughout. I didn't quilt the whole thing and it looks a little bit odd. I probably would do it differently again if I made this quilt again. And then the alligator, I outlined him and did some squigglies in the gator, and I outlined all of the words, and that's about it. So that's it for the quilting. Now we're gonna head to Jennifer's shop for the binding. Who likes to put binding on? Nobody. So I have a secret weapon. That's my mama putting binding on my quilts for me. She ran out of thread, but it's all good. And just so that you know, I'll be cutting the audio on this.
So I can say whatever I want.
You say whatever you want, yes.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.